Ever since I was a young boy, I was fascinated by the paranormal. I grew up with the old books about true ghost stories, about the happenings inside Britain's most haunted buildings and castles. This fascination grew until in my mid-teens when I discovered that there was a local paranormal investigation group that was recruiting new members. I had applied and had a discussion with the group leader, and I was accepted in. The first few places we visited were pretty boring. We went to local pubs and spent the night waiting for things to happen. I grew increasingly annoyed at the so-called mediums of the group, who demanded attention and full respect of whatever results they invented in their own minds. With each passing investigation, I became more and more of a skeptic, distancing myself further and further from those people until I became the guy who would take the camera and walkie-talkie and wander off down the building, and distancing myself further and further from these people until I became the guy who we were investigating alone. I remember when I first saw the place. It was a crumbling quarter-long mile road taking you from the local town to the front door. Nobody had driven down it ever since the manor was abandoned back in the 1990s. It had gone through so many guises during its eventful life. Private residence, a hospital, a school, and a base for American troops preparing for the D-Day landings. Now, it just stood alone, the insides bare and empty. We'd always heard about this place, but never thought we'd get the chance to get inside, let alone spend a night there. But after a chance phone call with the owner, we had permission. The place had no electricity, so I was fully prepared with a cluster of batteries for my camcorder, as well as a full pack of AA batteries for my dictaphone, walkie-talkie, torch, and other gadgets I built up a collection of over the years. I slipped from the group as they were starting their ritual of white light of protection and just decided to walk around, exploring the building. It was a huge place set over 3 levels, each with long sprawling corridors with doors on either side at regular intervals. I went deeper into the manor, looking through the doors and exploring places that haven't had any sort of activity in them for nearly 2 decades. After about an hour, I set my camcorder down to film me as I sat in the corner of the room and started to ask out into my dictaphone. EVP fascinated me, but as of yet, capturing a voice still eluded me. Still, I didn't give up hope as I asked my rehearsed questions, leaving the usual gap for any possible answers.
Hello, is there anyone there? Do you have a message for me? If you can hear me, then move something.
That's when I heard breathing. I swung my torch around to where I thought I could hear it from, but couldn't see anything. I asked out to whoever was there, making sure my dictaphone was still recording, but I couldn't see anything. And then it stopped. I immediately replayed the last moments of my dictaphone to myself to see if I had recorded this unexplainable sound. I could hear myself talking, asking the questions. The gaps were still silence. The end, however, was a different story. There was breathing there, but there was something else. A voice. I couldn't make out what it was saying. Was it in a foreign language? I turned the volume to full and pressed it up to my ear. I could hear, "Die? Why die? Did I hear that right?" Alone? That word was clear. The breathing was much raspier on the recording than I remember it. A treacherous thump on the wall next to me shook me. I dropped my camcorder and heard a sickening crunch as it connected hard against the floor. The rattle it gave me after I picked it up and shook it told me that I shouldn't expect to record any more video of that night. Still, it would have recorded that thump just before its death. I decided to head back so I could put my damaged camcorder back into my camera bag, so I walked through the door and back out into the corridor. This wasn't the corridor I remember. I'm sure the walls were a different color. These are not the same. I decided to walk back the way I'm sure I originally came. The corridor felt like it became narrower. Maybe it's just claustrophobia. I'm walking a little faster. I'm sure I can feel somebody watching me as I walk back. I can feel those eyes staring at me. God, that feeling is horrible. I kept looking back, but all I see in the dim light of my torch is the corridor stretching into black. I'm certain there's something just beyond the blackness. I feel that it's tall. Its eyes are piercing. I can feel its desire to harm me. I reached the end of the corridor. I don't remember this door. I tried the handle and it's locked. I turned back around, looking back into the black I had just walked through. There's something stood there. I'm sure of it. Hidden just beyond the black. I could hear it breathing. The breathing. It's getting louder. I feel this overwhelming sense of claustrophobia, like it's moving towards me. I started swinging my torch out blindly. It hit the walls and shatters. Now I'm in a mad panic. It's black. I'm lost. I can feel it getting closer. I tried the door to my left. Locked. To my right. It opened. I ran through and slammed it shut hard behind me. No sooner had I closed it that I heard the lock mechanism click. I tried the door. It's locked. The room was small. All I can see is from the feeble amount of light my phone screen is giving off. The room has deep red walls. There's only one small window that's boarded and barred. I sink into the corner. I can feel someone standing outside the door. I can hear it breathing. I want to try to open it, but I'm scared as to what's on the other side. That's where I am right now. I'm in the corner of this room. The door's locked. The walkie-talkie just transmits static. I'm sure the others are aware that something's happened to me now, but as of yet, I've heard nothing. No shouts, no calls, nothing. Nobody else knows I'm here. All I have is my phone, which is what I'm using right now. I've tried to make phone calls, but all I get is a busy tone over and over again. Yuck. The battery's almost dead. The door's still locked. It feels like I've been trapped here for hours. I don't know if it's night or day anymore. And it feels like hours. I can't get the boards off the window. The door's still locked. My God. I can hear the breathing again. It's right behind me, in my ear. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry.